So anyway, what's the worst that can happen?
We'll see.
Sit here and talk for an hour and we don't get recorded. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Where are we at right now?
We are in my new employment location, Vivid Wellness Center over in Clive.
Never even knew it existed.
Yeah. So they started out as a mobile IV. So they'll come to your house. We still have that aspect of it. They'll come to your house. They'll come to your business. They, do events, things like that. And then they've been in this location where they offer like the IV lounge, lots of other services, full aesthetics. And then they've been here 2 years and I've been with them for about 6 weeks or so now.
How'd you get hooked up? Just by accident?
Kind of by accident. Yeah. One of our other coworkers that was on the flight team is related to one of the owners, and
nice.
They were looking for a functional medicine provider, and I was looking for something a little different than what I was doing before. So it just kind of fell into place.
Do you mind, without nothing against probably your old employer, what's different about this place and why did it draw you to it?
Yeah. So I learned a ton from the last place that I was at. It was right out of NP school. I knew that functional medicine is what I wanted to do. That's the whole reason I went back to school. But I really wanted to kind of merge the two worlds a little bit more of the traditional medical setting and kind of this functional medicine, lifestyle, supplements, other testing together, and really just individualize the treatment plans. And so that is what they're allowing me to do here. I kind of have free reign to treat patients the way that I see fit, the way that they see fit. We really just kind of work as a team because it is your body, your healthcare, and you should have a decision on how we want to move forward.
So it's a custom fit. It's not like a blanket where everybody that comes in is going to get the treatment.
Correct.
If you come in here, you're going to get a treatment.
A treatment that works for you, works for your lifestyle, works where you're at, and what I see, and I help guide you through that.
So a couple things. I don't know if you know, but and I don't know if this is a big accomplishment, but you're the most listens. The whole show is your show. 160 some odd listens.
Hopefully this just blows that one out of the water.
Well, and I think there's an testament to it. There's been 35 episodes. Yours is the highest listened to. And I think for a lot of reasons, but one, I think that there's a curiosity out there for people that want to do better, but don't know how to do better and don't necessarily want to put that better in the hands of the industrial complex that is health insurance, healthcare, private practice, that kind of stuff. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I'm certainly now, that being said, anytime anybody starts getting curious about things, there's a lot of ways to say, yeah, maybe that sounds right, but I'm not quite convinced. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Like you can make a case for aliens.
Sure.
And you can make a case against aliens, but that debate is always going to be there. I feel like this space is kind of getting there too, where you can make a case for it, and we can make really good cases for it. We're about to sit down for about 45 minutes and make some real good, strong cases to that. But there's always going to be the skepticism out there, right?
Right.
Like this is the new essential oils, or this is the new shake weight, or whatever. I hope that out of those 165 listens that people got from that was that they want to start asking more questions. And they want to start asking more questions of their providers, of their health insurance agencies, and they go explore things that may not be, how I want to say, in vogue,
mm-hmm.
because nobody's talking about it. The great example was the ozone therapy.
Sure.
That apparently has been around for generations. I've never heard of it.
And I had never heard of it till I came here, and it is fantastic.
And nobody's going to push it. No private practice physician is going to be like, oh, you're feeling a little down today.
No.
Maybe you should go somewhere and get some ozone therapy.
Yeah. And unfortunately, I've had patients, primary care providers tell them not to do ozone. And it's like, you have no background in that and no justification for it, except that you just don't know what it is.
And I don't know that that's necessarily right. I don't know that it's nefarious. They're just not. I had so this is the same way a physician would tell somebody not to use creatine.
Right.
Like there's no reason not to use creatine. Right. You just don't really know So you're going to err on the side
of caution because you're so scared of a malpractice lawsuit or being sued or
whatever, that you're just not interested in putting yourself
and you don't
out
have the
there.
time
So
to research. Yeah.
I could see where that might be, where somebody's like, nah, you don't really need to do ozone. Until you do ozone and you're like, and I don't know anything about it, just this is new to me too, and hopefully we can kind of unpack that too. But I think that's where people are, is I'm gonna ask my physician for something that's off label or off cuff, and they're gonna, no fault of their own, either they're just not educated in it, it doesn't fit the structure of the PPO or the
Correct.
right or whatever, so they're just not interested in entertaining it. Let's just keep doing the same shit that we've been doing, and then I'll keep giving the answers that I know how to give. And then in your middle age, when you're feeling kind of down or you just run down, you don't have a lot of energy, I'll just tell you that it's because you're getting old.
Right.
And you should probably try to get some better sleep, or I'll give you a prescription to help manage that versus some of these things that we can do on our own. Is that?
Yeah, 100%.
So I think that there's a market out there. I'm a big nerd. At the same time, I'm also got some healthy skepticism of some things. But let's talk about that. So I just got my labs done. Happy anniversary, by the way.
It was a couple weeks ago. Thanks.
Oh yeah. Well, those flowers are still doing
I mean, they're lasting a long time.
Well, they're in the right place. So somebody middle-aged, let's look through the middle-aged guy, like me, comes in and says, hey, listen, Ashley, I'm a little tired these days. That's not normal for me. You know what, obviously I've got 20 or 30 extra pounds, which isn't helping me. What's your go-to? Where do we start?
Our initial appointments, usually about 45 minutes, and we dive into everything from what does your day-to-day life look like? What does your, diet look like currently? What kind of movement are you getting in? How are you sleeping? Do you feel rested when you get up? What kind of homes have you lived in? Because we are seeing a lot of issues with mold come up recently, and that can cause systemic symptoms. How are your stress levels? What's your job like? Are you exposed to toxins at the home, in the job? And we take a deep dive into all the way back into childhood. Were you really sick as a child? Have you had a ton of antibiotics? Do you lean towards more non-processed, non-GMO foods? Do you not care at all? How is your gut health? Are you able to go to the bathroom every day? What is your libido like? What is your mood like? Have you lost motivation to do things that you used to like to do? And so we take a really deep dive and take a lot of time to get some questions answered so that I can make the best determination on labs to be drawn. And normally we start with a large blood panel that includes everything, including hormones, because
Sure.
for, kind of that middle-aged man into the 50s, 60s, that kind of stuff, testosterone will naturally decrease, but we're seeing it decrease even faster
Yes.
at a younger age because of external toxins in our world.
Microplastics,
Old Spice,
Shut up.
body wash. Yeah.
Please don't say Dracar, because I used to swim in that stuff as a
I'm
teenager.
sure it was not great. Yeah.
Fragrances.
100%.
For real.
Yes.
Okay. See, and then this is where I'd be like, there's nothing good. I read somewhere the other day where receipts.
Correct.
What is that about?
The thermal paper is a hormone disruptor.
Shut up.
Yeah.
Man, there's nothing. Everything's killing us.
Or
at least slowing us down.
I mean, for sure.
The Industrial Revolution. That's crazy. So let's say the answer to all those questions for what I think a lot of people's are like, listen, I don't eat real good. I am under a lot of stress. I don't sleep great. I rarely get outside. Is your go-to to fix that first? Or is your go-to to now all of those things which can reduce testosterone and cause hormone disruptions? Obviously, the number one way to fix those in anybody's world when they're trying to make money is to sell something to do that. Are you first, let's try to fix these things?
We can do a couple different ways. Sometimes it really, once we see those labs, if there is something that is so abnormal or so below that optimal range that, gosh, you know what, you really do need vitamin D injections until we can get you to this level, on top of, we need to do some diet changes. Here's the movement I want you to start with. Like, here's how, sleep hygiene, here is what I want you to focus on each night. My husband and I both started wearing CGM monitors, so continuous glucose monitors.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that too.
And that's been super eye-opening, especially for him overnight. And that's one of my recommendations for you after seeing your labs as well, is because for people who eat pretty darn clean during the day or feel like they do, but yet their A1C continues to rise or their fasting glucose is elevated, we have a whole, the body is still working while we're sleeping. We just have to prepare it to, get that restful sleep. And if we're eating right before we go to bed, or we have sleep apnea or blood sugar dysregulation, that's all working at night and we aren't getting that restful sleep. And, that might be where you're seeing your A1C elevate, is because you have all these weird spikes at nighttime and there's no way to measure that except with a CGM.
All right, let's get into that for a second.
Okay.
So I had my annual physical and everything came back. It looked like I was nailing it, man. Like I'm just drilling it. And so everything's air quote normal.
Correct.
We talked about this last time. That doesn't mean optimal. Okay. So you were nice enough. I gave you my information, said, hey, run with it. And you printed off this nice color-coded report that told me otherwise, that I may be normal, but I'm certainly not optimal. My first question is, where do you guys get your optimal ranges? Like, how do you compile that? And why is it different from my doctor's office who says I'm, quote, normal?
Mm-hmm. Those in this program, like, they determine those optimal ranges. Now, the standard range includes people who are already in a disease state. So people who already have diabetes, who already have heart disease, already have high cholesterol. So those people are included. And that's why that range gets so wide, and we wait in the traditional medical setting until you hit a number that is, 6.4. Now you have diabetes. That A1C is 5.7. Now you're pre-diabetic. But what are we doing when the A1C is 5.3 last year and 5.6 this year? It's still, quote, normal, but something has made that elevate over time. So as far as exactly where those optimal ranges come from, I am not 100% sure. It is just a more narrow range to kind of catch those abnormalities before we get to a disease state. There's a great analogy in the Good Energy book that talks about, like, when we send a spaceship off into space, it has thousands of sensors to tell us if something is working right, something, hey, yellow, it's, something is not on the right track, or red, like, we need to work on this now. And that is our cells. Like, that's our cells telling us, hey, something is not working right, but we can fix it at this point.
I really wish I had video with this, because this is pretty cool little vertical screen you got with all my stuff on it. It's got a bunch of bright colors, some yellows, some greens, and then the ominous reds. So let's start with my A1C, and I'm a little annoyed. It's 5.7. I don't really remember what it was last year, but still probably it's 5.5 maybe, I think, a year ago. 5.7 this year. Everybody knows that I'll steal a handful of chocolate chips every now and then. Like, I had 2 handfuls last night and they were delicious. Probably ruined me for today, which is why I kind of feel like a piece of shit. But is that daily habit really enough to keep my blood glucose elevated to a serum level where my glucose is probably running around 113, 114 every day? Or is it insulin resistance?
It's possible, but unfortunately, they didn't draw your fasting insulin. So I have a list of probably 20 other markers that we include in our standard panel that is not on yours. One of those being fasting insulin, which would be super helpful to know.
Okay.
Because with that, along with your fasting glucose, which is also elevated, I could figure what we call a HOMA IR score. And that tells us, a little bit more in detail what, how insulin resistant are you? How close are you to kind of that type 2 diabetes mark? But more than anything, I think you would be surprised at what actually raises your blood sugar. And that is so independent for everyone.
So I was going to ask you about insert the continuous glucose monitor. I've kicked it around. What is that data really going to tell me? So if I buy one for 2 weeks, because they're disposable, right?
They're disposable. The one I got was $90 for 4 weeks.
And so I'm gonna run a regular diet for 2 weeks, or how I normally eat for 2 weeks, and then I'm gonna see it's gonna spit out on some sort of app what raises, and so I would want to is the basic model just to eliminate foods that spike my glucose?
It could be. I think you can learn so much even within a week of having it. The one that I specifically have runs a continuous level. So you don't have to scan it every time. I can look back and see every minute of the day what my blood sugar was.
Okay.
And then you're able to insert exercise here, or maybe I had a coffee here, or here was dinner, and then watch those spikes.
And the goal then it would be, so stress can increase
Stress,
it.
absolutely.
But stress isn't always negative. Like stress could be from working out, right? Okay. So if you take that, partition that time off from 8 to 9 where I worked out, my glucose spiked because my body was under stress and I released glucose for energy. And then, or you take a 3 in the afternoon random spike where I wasn't doing anything, but maybe I was under stress at my job or at home. Would the goal then with that information be to eliminate those things that spike the sugar?
Yes, and it's hard to eliminate those natural releases for like stress and exercise and things like that. I wouldn't say that unless someone is, under an immense amount of stress day in, day out, all day long. But more than anything, looking at when you eat something, especially sugar-free items. That is what has spiked my glucose the most, is a sugar-free yogurt.
Why?
The artificial sweeteners in it.
No shit.
Yep. It spikes more than if I would have just had a full fat yogurt.
Yeah.
Full
fat's good.
Full fat is good.
Full fat is good.
Yep.
For you. We drink whole milk in my house. I said this the other day. Skim milk is for women.
My only caveat to the whole milk is there's a lot of sugar in it.
Sure.
So like whole milk, like raw whole milk, 100% drink as much as you want. Well, I would much rather you drink that than actually like A&E whole milk.
But isn't it weird that you can't get raw whole milk?
It is very interesting.
Like, isn't that annoying?
Yep.
It just kind of annoys me. For whatever reason, that's probably a whole nother episode. So when I see those numbers, and I'm looking at them right now, so standard range 70 to 99, and I'm at 103. I look at it and go, that's not terrible. When I look at your optimal range, I see 75 to 86. And then I'm like, well, that's a little bit bigger gap. The other thing I see right there through conventional medicine is, hey, we probably should start you on some metformin or some Ozempic or something. Well, okay. So then I look at the range and go, did you lower the range to increase the amount of people that have to start on medicine? And that's my skepticism with almost anything is, did we lower the range because we've got years and years and years and years and years of data that say an LDL of 100 is where you want to be? Or did we lower that metric so that we could sell more Lipitor? I don't have the answer, but it's certainly suspicious to me.
Yeah.
So when I look at fasting glucose out of 103, it looks high. It's red, even by your standards, which is a narrow margin. And then I look at the old days and I was like, well, 20 years ago, that wasn't so bad. So have we actually come that far and narrowed our focus to the point where, yes, this is a big deal? Or is this a meh?
I think it could be both ways. I think we are finding more and more how much our metabolic health affects everything. It affects other disease processes. We are a very unhealthy nation. Our quality of food has just like plummeted. And so we are seeing obesity at a younger and younger age. And so I think that, we are putting more emphasis on those numbers. Maybe, in the traditional world, sure, they're quick to jump to a prescription like metformin. I would much rather kind of dive into looking at your liver as well, because those work hand in hand with the blood sugar and then the liver, and doing other things, lifestyle changes, diet changes, increase in movement, looking at your glucose through that continuous glucose monitor, helping your liver to detox a little bit more effectively.
You have to look at it in a big picture, right? Instead of just taking that
correct.
metric by
we can't
itself.
Just spot train,
Yes.
just like we can't just do sit-ups and hope that we get abs. Like
Yes.
I can't just fix your glucose and then hope the rest of the body just falls into place.
Well, it's interesting that you talk about the liver, because my liver enzymes are also up. Now, where's that at?
Right here.
Yeah, so my ALT, last year that number, it's 46. Last year that number was 36. Okay? My glucose has always been at the high range of air quote normal. Now, I wish people understood how complex this was, which is why I think healthcare fails, is because a pulmonologist is gonna silo you to your lungs.
Correct.
Right? A cardiologist is gonna silo you to your heart. An endocrinologist is gonna silo you to your pancreas and your hormones. But this whole thing works in unison.
100%.
And so we can't silo one thing and let me explain why. Because my LDLs were elevated, I was suggested to start on a statin, which everybody knows I hate it with a passion. I hate the thought of it. I hate the idea of it. And I understand, and I'm very vocal about that. Well, my new physician said, hey, listen, why did you come to me if you're only going to listen to 75% of what I say? And I said, okay, fair enough. You qualify to start on a statin. I said, I understand that, but okay. But I see your point. I'm only going to do it to make me in charge and be in control, which I've learned in the last 2 months. I have a control issue. I'm going to do it to lower my ApoB, not because you told me to do it to lower my LDLs, because I'm going to lower my ApoB. Well, guess what chronic statin use does? Increases your liver enzymes.
Yep.
So, which I've heard on other podcasts, where if it gets raised significantly, they stop that person from taking a statin and try to find an alternative. So I was taking a statin. I tried it. You know what? I didn't have any bad side effects really, like that I know of. I took it at night. So if I did have some shit happen, I was asleep. Did it work? Yeah. Did it lower my LDLs? Sure. Did it lower my ApoB? Yes. But at the expense of my liver enzymes. And I don't think that's a fair trade.
And at the expense of statins lower the good LDLs.
Yes.
Not the bad LDLs.
Tell everybody what that is.
Did they offer you a particle test before starting on these statins?
I've got the traditional HDL, LDL, triglycerides, total cholesterol.
Yeah. And
then I got the ratio of HDLs to LDLs, which, by the way, the ratio is fine.
It's fine. Yeah. Your ratio is great there.
But what they did was they siloed me as a number of LDLs. It is greater than 100. Now, pushed back on me with the science, air quote, which, okay, I'm with you. But there's a lot of people that die with low LDLs of coronary artery disease.
Most of the people with heart attacks have high triglycerides and their LDLs are fine.
Probably because they were started on a statin at their first very inkling, maybe their 50-year-old physical or whatever. And so I get it. Like, I kind of get it, but then again, I kind of don't. This is the kind of stuff that makes me question, is my best interest in mind? Okay, so we took one medicine and we took one metric and we said, we need to fix this number. And in the cascade of fixing that one number, I feel like I screwed up a whole bunch more.
It's possible. And in my mind, when I think about you, and I know you, having a history in firefighting and EMS, and now on the helicopter, you're exposed to all kinds of toxins. And, and we are seeing more and more firefighters come out with cancer and things like that. So that is in my head as I'm looking at your liver. Have you been exposed to toxins for years upon years upon years, and you're having a harder time detoxing things?
I think for clarification, a lot of my friends in fire, I've never been a firefighter, but Malcolm, obviously we talk about him a lot, and how that, but I also see different fire departments have an increased number of cancer diagnosis and fire departments that have zero diagnosis of cancer. So I don't know what the difference is. That I've asked that question to a lot of my friends, and we don't really have an answer other than how the gear is cared for after a fire or how often that's
for sure.
But you're not wrong, because any house that has carpet burning is going to give off a chemical that's not good for you.
Well, and being around the helicopter, those exhaust fumes are
took a big hit of it yesterday or the other day.
Just someone who travels in a car. So, the other thing that I would think of for your liver too, doing a particle test, which breaks down, like these are total numbers of LDLs. When you get a lipid panel, these are the total numbers, but there are different sizes of LDLs and HDLs. Yep. There's large particle, which just kind of bounce around, don't really harm anything. They're cardio neutral. And then we have small LDLs and we have small HDLs. And those are the ones that can get inside the vessels and cause problems. So you and I can have, your LDLs right now are 136. We can both have a 136, but if most of yours are large and most of mine are small, I'm at more risk for, cardiovascular disease. Your triglycerides are great. The lower we can get those triglycerides, the better. Because that is what we are seeing more and more, high triglycerides from terrible diet, and that is what's causing heart disease and, those MIs that walk through the ER.
If we know this, why do you think that they don't, why is my LDL breakdown not in this thing? Why is it cumulative and not?
I don't know.
Why don't we do
and
that?
Particle testing is not new. That has been around forever.
I was able to ask for whatever I wanted to in this meeting, and they were like, "That's fine, but you're gonna have to pay for it." Okay.
Yeah.
So
it's about $100 or so. We can do it here. It's easy. It comes with the apolipoprotein B, in that, but then it also tells us the breakdown of all of those different lipid particles.
Which I love the fact that on your breakdown, I have an optimal range of what my ApoB should be, but there's no standard range.
Right.
Because it's not a standard test.
Right.
Which also annoys me.
And doing things like niacin, red yeast rice, CoQ10, those are all great for the vascular system, for the cholesterol levels, other things besides a statin.
Yeah. Well, listen, I don't take it anymore. I self-diagnosed myself or self-treated myself with, I'm not interested in trading high liver enzymes. I would rather have a healthy liver than slightly elevated LDLs. And the reason that is, and that may not be true for everybody, so don't listen to this advice and go, I'm going to stop my statin. It's the only, air quote, risk factor I have. I don't smoke.
Right.
I'm not obese. My calcium score is 0, which is the best you can do in the history of the world. 0. So I don't have my LP(a), which they never test for, is normal. So that tells me I don't have any hereditary hyperlipidemia issues that I just can't shake or get rid of.
Correct.
The only thing I have going against me is elevated LDLs. Mm-hmm. That by itself, I don't think is enough for me to walk around on eggshells that my heart's going to explode in any minute.
No, absolutely not. What I would like to see is your HDLs up just a little bit more. Those, help protect the heart. They go around, they grab like the free radicals, the junk that's in the bloodstream, takes it back to the liver to be detoxed and filtered again. So the higher the HDLs, the better. And you can do that with like fatty fish. You can do it with omega supplements.
If you knew how low that used to be, like 15 years ago, it was bad.
Yeah.
Like I'm talking in the low 40s. And now we're at the 56. And that is because I eat red meat and eggs, and I take a fish oil supplement.
Perfect.
And I have every day for 10 years. And I've never seen that number do anything but slowly increase. Because it was, back in the day, that's how they used to think that you had to combat coronary artery disease was you had to raise your HDLs. And then they realized that was real hard. And there's not a lot you can do. Like you can't raise them quickly.
No, they're slow moving.
Yes, that is a long-term commitment to raising your HDLs. But what they realized was that you can lower your LDLs real quick.
With step.
And that was easier to promote. That's just my opinion. The science zealots out there that I think believe the people that sponsor the studies that support their product will tell me I'm full of shit, and that's fine. But just follow the money. In my opinion.
Always.
So that the other thing I wanted to ask you about is my TSH.
Yes.
So it's low. That indicates a hyperactive thyroid?
Hyperactive. Yep. So it's kind of an inverse relationship.
Wouldn't I be a little leaner than I am now if I had a hyperactive thyroid?
Yes.
Tell us what the thyroid does for one.
So the thyroid kind of helps with metabolism, and you will see that it's an inverse relationship. So when your TSH is super high, it means that the thyroid is underactive.
Yeah.
That pulse from the pituitary gland, is continuing to stimulate that thyroid, and it's not responding. So that TSH will get higher and higher. Where, a low TSH means a hyperactive or an overactive thyroid. And you'll have symptoms of sometimes anxiety, maybe palpitations, feeling like very hot. I
get all those.
Weight loss, things like that.
Not the weight loss part.
Yeah.
We're trying to lose 10 pounds for 10 years.
Yeah. So I don't, and the other unfortunate part is this is one of seven plus pieces of a thyroid panel.
Yeah.
So this really tells me how well is your pituitary signaling your thyroid. It really doesn't tell me much about your thyroid at all. I need a free T4 and a free T3. I would love some thyroid antibodies to get a full picture of your thyroid. Sure. This is telling me that, gosh, maybe what we call an HPT axis, or the hypothalamus pituitary thyroid axis, maybe it's not working quite as well. That HP axis is also related. It signals your adrenals, which deals with our stress hormones, our cortisol, our DHEA. And for a lot of people, that HPA axis is underfunctioning because we are under such chronic stress. So I don't have a DHEA or a cortisol on you, so I can't really, say much about that. But I think that doing some HPA support would be helpful. And we do that with some supplementation, with some meditation.
I would be curious on, like, for the people in our job, the shift workers, like how close, you have to be fasted, but nobody ever says, hey, I need you fasted and I need you on a good night's sleep.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I want you to come in the next day on a good night's sleep, fasted, and we're going to pull your labs, versus, okay, I can fast, but I may be coming in after my shift, and it may be a night shift, or it may be a long 24. And how much of this can be affected by that? Because
there's certain ones that can. I'm not sure that all of them would be, but if you work out really hard the day before, your CRP might be elevated.
Sure.
So there is some caveat. Taking supplements with high dose biotin in them will throw off your TSH. So I always make sure that my patients have not taken biotin in the last 3 days before getting labs drawn. Biotin it's one of the B vitamins, and a lot of people use it like for hair, skin, and nails, things like that. So, but it's in like a multivitamin. It's in a lot of energy drinks.
Now that you say that, I've seen that. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, if they're taking large doses, like a hair, skin, and nail supplement, and then you go and get your thyroid checked, it will throw off your thyroid labs. Same thing, like, if you're on a thyroid medication, those numbers are best drawn first thing in the morning, just like a testosterone level. It is highest first thing in the morning and will slowly decline throughout the day. So that makes a difference too when you have your labs drawn.
I never thought of that, like the time of day that you get your stuff.
Yep.
Most people, or I would assume most people, a lot of people, myself included, elect to do these first thing in the morning usually. Like if you're not used to fasting until, noon, you don't want to take your physical at 3 p.m, because that means you got to fast too long. So let's go to the kidneys. So we've established that Why is that? Why is that bad? I have zero kidney. So my bun is elevated, my creatinine is elevated, and then my bun to creatinine ratio is red. The other two are yellow. Why? I pee 1,000 times a day. I get to the point where it's pretty clear by the end of the day. I'm hydrated. I put salt on my food. Where's that coming from? That's got to be a byproduct of some other hormone or problem manifesting in my kidneys.
Yeah. So one of the things that I think about too, the kidneys are really can be regulated or affected by levels of cortisol. And so that is our stress hormone.
Yeah.
So if we're having some adrenal fatigue, or, the adrenals are not working like they should because of shift work, that's a really common thing because of excess stress. We can see it affect the kidneys. Extremely high protein intake, we'll see an elevated bun.
I buy that because I don't count my macros anymore, but
so that was my assumption.
Probably shooting for 180 grams of protein a day.
If it's elevated even a little bit more, yours is 19. If I see it kind of in the 20s, maybe even, above that standard range of, 6 to 24. So above that 24, then I start to think, okay, it can indicate like a dysbiosis in the gut. So an unevenness in the gut bacteria. And we can start to see that filter into the kidneys. And it's kind of like what you said before, we can't just spot treat things. So we really have to, there is a gut microbiome, there is, a mouth microbiome, there is a vaginal and, urinary microbiome, and all of those have to be functioning properly. And so my assumption for you with the kidneys would be a high protein intake, because I don't see dehydration, in your sodium and potassium. Your protein and albumin look good. So my assumption for you is that high protein intake. It can be a little bit of a sign from like an anterior pituitary dysfunction. And that goes back to that HPT, that hypothalamus pituitary thyroid axis. If there's a dysfunction there, that can also affect the BUN level.
How do we know? And so I look at this through my lens, a middle-aged guy that's just trying to do good stuff. Like, I'm just trying to keep up with my kids, not be a liability at my job. I like it if Lindsay chases me around the house a little bit, like we got that kind of energy going, right? But when you look at the colors, meaning the red and the yellows, it's easy to think you're doing well. And then you come in and you're like, listen, buddy, there's some improvements that could be had. But so I look at it through that the average guy lens. So if the average guy gets up every day, maybe if he's lucky, gets a workout in, goes to a job that he just kind of mutters through, and then kind of goes to his kids' events in the evening, and then gets real tired about 7:30. And he does that every day. And then on the weekends, things get a little off tilt with the alcohol consumption and the, irregular sleep schedule. You stay up a little later. And to them, they feel, air quote, normal. How do they know that they could feel so much better? Like, this is the question I argue with. Like, how do you not know? How do people get to know that might be better out there? Like, if I'm tired at 7:30, 8 o'clock every night, and I consider that a normal thing, but there's some sort of metric out there that if I just change this one thing, all of a sudden I got energy through 9 o'clock, and I'm much more productive, and my quality of sleep's better. Do you think it's because we get programmed into thinking that this is just the kind of the way it is, or is there I don't even know how to articulate this. Is somebody sounding the siren that says, hey, wait a minute, dudes, I don't think this is as good as it gets. Start asking some questions and start pushing back a little bit. And then maybe finding out that we're kind of trudging through life, not in the right direction. And it could be better if we just look at a few things, right?
Yeah, 100%. And I think we have, you know, it goes back to even like we have felt like crap for so long, we don't quite remember what it feels like to quote feel normal. And so this normal becomes, feeling exhausted when you get out of bed, bloating every time you eat, not going to the bathroom every day, having to take energy drinks throughout the day just to stay awake, um, you know, maybe your energy rises at nighttime. That's not normal. Like
Right.
that pattern is not optimal. That is not how we sustain like long-term health and wellness.
I don't think people realize how close they are to feeling good.
Yeah.
Like I look at me at the end of the day and go, okay, I had a pretty productive day. What can I do to be better tomorrow? Like, I don't know that I'm at the peak of I'm middle-aged. I don't think I've peaked yet. I don't know if that's true or untrue. But I'm constantly looking for ways to, like, I don't know how good it could be. So I'm constantly looking for better.
Well, and I think, and unfortunately, we have gotten into our society wants a quick fix. We want a pill, we want a shot that's going to change our life and do it now. And, and that's not reality. And that's not how the body works. It's going to take some effort on your part. It's going to take some change, maybe some quote sacrifice. And that's one of my signs here in my office is you can't heal in the same environment you got sick in.
Yeah.
So if you thrive and your whole life is nothing but chaos and, you don't eat till 3:00 in the afternoon because you haven't taken time to sit down to do that. And, you're running from this activity to the next, and you're exhausted, you can't expect to fix that and continue that same chaos routine. The body is telling you, hey, I need something different. And I think we pride ourselves in like, how many activities can we do? How many, appointments can we make? How much can I get done today? When really we need to like pride ourselves in taking the day off. And do you take time to meditate? Like that is so difficult, myself included. Can you just sit with your thoughts and be okay for 5 minutes? And some people cannot.
Sure.
And I think, that is how we kind of get back into this, realm of healing ourselves from the inside out, because a pill's not going to do it and a supplement's not going to do it. And unfortunately, the food that we're presented with at the grocery store and stuff, unless you're really looking at labels and
man, we didn't bat an eye back in the day when we used to fill that pitcher full up of Kool-Aid, right, with all that sugar and peanut butter. Like it was the greatest day ever. If you had a nice summer day.
But back in the day, that Kool-Aid had half the ingredients that it has now.
Yeah.
Half the chemicals in it, half of the artificial ingredients, half of the artificial dyes. Like, I mean, we look at our kids, in elementary school and they're either overweight or, they have health issues or, there's all kinds of ADHD is on the rise, kids cancer. Like there has to be someone that says something's happening. Like what's one thing that we all do in common? We all eat food. Like, and it's difficult to find clean, healthy foods at affordable prices.
It's hard to argue.
Yeah.
It's hard to argue that there's certain countries that ban certain ingredients.
And then we don't.
Yeah. Now, whether you believe that to be, whether you think that that's a conspiracy theory or not, it should raise the question, why would this country not allow this certain dye in their food? Why is it illegal? And then here in America, we're like, yeah, no problem.
Yeah, no problem.
Put it in
Same
your
thing. Like, and I cringe when we come around the holiday times and you see these gift packs at Walmart and Target and Sephora with perfumes. And, you've got the body wash and the lotion and the loofah together and all those chemicals we are putting on our kids. And then girls are starting periods at age 7, 8, 9.
Yeah.
And we have more infertility than we've ever seen. heavier periods, endometriosis, like testosterone levels plummeting in the 30s. Like, we have to do something, and I don't have all the answers, and I think that's where it's kind of frustrating. But the one app that I suggest for all of my patients is called Yuka, Yuka, and you can. There's a free version, there's a paid version. You scan your skincare products, you scan your deodorant. I thought I was using a clean deodorant because it was a quote clean brand, and the body wash came up with a quote good score, but the deodorant didn't. It had a product in there that is supposed to be, a hormone disruptor. So
what do you say to the people that say, hey, listen, this is just the way the world is now? Like, we could literally purge everything in our house for the sake of health, right? But I guess it's hard to argue that if microplastics cause increased estrogen, and that in turn decreases your testosterone level, could very well be an argument for, well, this is the kind of society we're getting into now, where dudes are kind of soft these days, and we're probably not going to win a whole lot of wars going on because we can't get people in the military because they don't qualify. For various other reasons. I think the trend is people are starting to at least listen. Does that make sense? Like you could say, I could go to, and this is years ago, I could go to Christmas dinner and I would have to defend myself on why I didn't take whatever I took. The big thing is like, if you go somewhere and you're like, hey, you're not drinking, like you would have to defend yourself on why you're not ingesting poison. The other day, I was at a cancer benefit for a friend of mine who's got liver cancer. They were selling beer.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's not lost on me. And one of them asked me, you're not drinking? Well, no, because it causes liver cancer. Like, what? I don't understand how we got here. Okay, but I had to defend that. Now, I've never once asked somebody, well, why are you drinking?
Right.
Why are you having 3 beers before you go to bed? I've never asked anybody because I don't give a shit. But it raises a lot of eyebrows when people ask me why I choose not to drink. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
That's always annoyed me. Or why I have to say, oh, you're not having. Now, listen, I'll be the first one to eat a piece of chocolate cake with chocolate frosting. I'm in. Love that shit. But mostly I won't do it to kind of prove a point, which is you don't have to have it all the time. Just because it's there doesn't mean you have to take it.
Right. And we are so inundated with, commercials and, you walk down the aisle to go check out and all the shit is right there for kids to grab, for you to grab. And drive-throughs, like, can you get a healthy meal through a drive-through? And it's very difficult. It's much easier for me to drive through and get a quarter pounder with cheese and fries,
which
versus
are delicious.
like.
Now, I will say this though. This is something that's always annoyed me too. Is that whole Super Size Me movie? Like the guy set himself up to only gain weight. Like you can lose weight if you just eat McDonald's food. You just have to eat the right shit. You just can't go over a certain amount of calories in a day. I'm not saying it's healthy, but I'm saying like the guy set the whole documentary up to prove that fast food makes you fat. That's not true. Calories make you fat.
Right.
It doesn't matter what those calories are made of. You can eat too much. Well, it's hard to eat too much ribeye steak because the hormone leptin that tells you you're full gets triggered, and it's hard to overeat on like real animal fat. But the type of food you eat, any of it
makes a difference.
Yes. Any of it in excess can make you fat.
And you'll notice, like, if you decide to do like the continuous glucose monitor, there's a great book called The Glucose Revolution. And it teaches you how to eat food in a certain order in order to lower your glucose spike. And one of the tips she gives in there is to do some sort of physical activity, even a walk, for 10 minutes after each meal. And you will see our glucose just plummet after those meals.
Tons of good research on that.
Yeah,
that I've just been
it's fantastic.
Open up to. Now, it would be real easy for me after dinner to go for a loop around the park because the park is right next to my house and it's got a bike trail, 10-minute walk. The hard part of that is, and I will defend anybody that has this trouble like I do is implementing that habit, right? So that goes back to episode 1, which is momentum. Like you can do it once, that's great, but you got to do it twice, and
Consistency
you got to
is
do it
key.
to 3.
Yep.
So every day, it's like my stretching right now. It's like, man, I really need to stretch tonight. And I was like, it feels better just to sit here. Well, I need to build the momentum back up to keep doing it. And so anybody that tries to implement a new habit and struggles, totally get.
Yeah.
Like it's hard to do.
Well, at some point in time, like we would never, for some people, like they would never tell their kid, no, I won't do this for you. Or for a friend, if they call, you will, drop everything and go to them. And at some point in time, we have to just be like, you know what? That's me. Like I will drop anything for me and I'm going to go take that walk.
Yes.
Like at some point in time, you have to become the one that you're living for, because if you don't, then who's going to take care of these people that you're concerned about taking care of now? Like at some point in time, you have to become that as important as the others around you. I
think the other mindset we get into is, and this was told to me once, where I declined like a piece of cake, or I got mad that somebody was serving my kids some shit, or whatever. And I said, whatever. Well, you only live once. Well, sure. But I want that one time to be real good.
Right.
I don't want it to be with type 2 diabetes.
Right.
And so if we're interested in drinking the beer and eating the cake and letting it all go, because by God, we're only going to be on this rock one time and we're just going to let her loose. Well, that one time can mean a lot of different things for a lot of different people. It can be that one time fighting chronic disease and chronic illness, or being independent all the way until you're dead and not relying on the healthcare system to maintain your metabolic health.
Or if that piece of cake isn't a common denominator in your life, if it is a once a month type thing, once every 3 months that, you have a celebration, a birthday, and then the rest of the time, you are eating healthy. That's totally different than bombarding our system every week or every night with dessert, or, ice cream on the weekends, alcohol every weekend. That's totally different.
Yes. I used to say that I used to give myself a treat, but you know what else I give treats? My dog.
Right.
I'm not a dog. I eat the cake because it is in context to what we're doing. It's a celebration. I've earned it, that type of thing. Like, I'm not going to treat myself to a piece of cake, but I'm going to allow myself to have a piece of cake because goddamn cake's good. But I can't do it every day. Right. I can't do it with every meal, and I can't do it as a base of my nutrition, right? And then I have to look at what that cake's made of. And if I really care about my health and the people's health in my house, I have to set the good example. Now, you can have your bowl of Fruit Loops if you want. It seems like a real bad idea, and I'm going to lecture you on it to make you think that maybe instead of having this guy lecture me on Fruit Loops, maybe I'll just have a banana with a little honey on it. I win. But it's those little wins. I know you're rolling your eyes, honey. But you see,
I'm not sure I would pick a banana with honey, but
over Fruit Loops?
I mean, yes, sugar content might be the same. Chemical wise, yeah, you're better with the banana and honey. I'd much rather you have like protein and fat to start your day.
Oh, sure.
And, that gets onto a whole nother,
if we have to
episode of like an MTHFR mutation, and we're sending our kids who can't convert full of folic acid to school. Jesus. And we wonder why we're having a complete meltdown and can't focus, and we're blaming ADHD.
So this brings up a good point. Like if people are listening to the end of this brings up a good point. There is so much that we don't understand as normal people not in healthcare, right? Like this would be overwhelming to people. And so just listening to us banter and talk about metabolic health would be overwhelming to somebody and say, well, see, everything's bad, nothing's good, so I'm just going to drink my wine and eat my Doritos and be like, I don't have to worry about shit. So there has to be a way to tie a bow on some of this stuff. And there has to be a way to start, and there has to be a way to monitor, and there has to be a destination. So where are you now? Whether not in a good place or I want to get to a better place. Okay. You have to be able to evaluate it. Then you have to monitor your progress, and then you have to see the result.
Yeah.
And that's what people need. If people were listening to this, they would be like, would you two just get to the point and be like, how can I be better, healthier for the long term right now? Step one, come see you, have your labs drawn.
Yeah. Have my labs on. We go through this. I have it sitting out here for you, but I go through this kind of dump sheet that I've made. So if someone can only come see me once, we go through this, because if I can give you nothing else, if you follow what's on this sheet, it will change your life. And a lot of this came from education that I've done through functional medicine, through school, on my own, through the Good Energy book. Like if you can only afford to come see me once, like, here is what I want you to do, and this will change your life. And it talks about nutrition, water intake, movement, sleep, toxin exposure, detox support, stress reduction, all of those pieces, are necessary for everyone to optimize their health.
Yes. And they're simple.
That costs really nothing.
It's just habitual changes.
Yeah.
That eat less of this, change that leaded Coke to Diet Coke, put a couple glasses of water in there, like eat less of this, eat more of that. And then over time, you'll see and feel a difference. It won't be the next day.
Right.
Might not even be the day after that. But long term, you're going to see it. And that's where I think people get frustrated, or at least quit, is they're like,
this is a marathon. Like,
yes.
we're not climbing Mount Everest the first time you go out for a hike. Like, we're starting small, and I am kind of like your guide. Like, we're going to slowly work our way up there. But this is a marathon, the whole entire lifespan. So this is not like a one and done.
Yes.
This is not a 4-month program. This is not like,
I can tell you that every day I get up is a conscious thought of how I'm going to act and how I'm going to live. Like, it has to be on the forefront. Yes, I can have this. No, I can't have this.
And for some people, you have to write that down, because we are so inclined to just live our life. And by the end of the day, you can't remember what you had for breakfast, because we are so not in the moment. We have disassociated so frequently because of stress, because of trauma, that our lives are literally just flying by, and we don't even realize it.
If I left it up to my own devices, everything that I've built in the last 10 years, I would let it go, because I would get into this new habit of just being free to do whatever I want. And then that would spiral out of control into, I'd be overweight again. I'd be less in shape. I would be sleeping like shit again. Like, I would just let those. So every day I have to basically, this is how I'm going to do it. Some things have become very habitual. Like, I'm stressing right now I haven't worked out yet. And I'm like, when am I going to do that today? Well, as soon as I leave here, I hope. Some of it would be very easily replaced by laziness, right? And just, I'm glad I don't have to do that anymore. So personality plays a role in it, like how much you adhere.
Mm-hmm.
I think that there's too much out there for people to try to understand on their own. And I think that goes with nutrition. I think that goes with exercise, what workout is the best, what diet plan is the best. Like, nobody cares. It's whatever you can do consistently. Mm-hmm. That's what the best is. It doesn't matter if you're a runner or a biker or a kayaker or a CrossFitter. It's whatever you can adhere to. That's the best. The diet plan that's the best is whatever you can adhere to consistently is the best. Keto doesn't nobody cares. Just pick one and what is consistent. But the metabolic health, I think, is where people miss the mark. That's where you come in.
Yep.
So tie a bow on this whole thing. I'm a middle-aged dude. I don't know that I'm not supposed to be tired at 3 p.m. I really like to take a nap every day. But life just doesn't let me do that. My wife's not chasing me around the house as much as she used to. My jeans are fitting a little too tight. I saw something on the internet that said I shouldn't drink water out of a plastic bottle because I'll die. And then all of a sudden, I can't eat Fruit Loops anymore because they got some dye in them that I'll die. What am I supposed to do, man? Am I just supposed to just keep going? Or,
and it can absolutely feel overwhelming. And so that is why we break down for you, like, here are some diet changes I want you to focus on over this next month. We're going to meet again, see how you feel, how compliant have you been, and start adding those pieces together. We have other things we can throw in. At times, supplements, at times, medications if needed, but really supporting you lifestyle wise to, mitigate these habits that have become, kind of chronic and are causing these metabolic dysfunctions, which in turn will, cause lifelong issues.
I think if people come in and see you and they get evaluated by you and you draw their blood and then you throw this up there and they see a bunch of red, I think that would be an instant.
It's eye-opening.
It's an eye catcher.
It's eye-catching. And what's nice about this, granted, I don't have a full panel on you,
Yeah, I get it.
but it also gives me some ideas, like what do we need to work on first, second, third, because we can't change everything all at once. One of the things I like to describe is our bodies are kind of like an onion. We're peeling back these layers. So, for you, it's saying blood sugar regulation. So,
that's number one, by the way.
Number one.
Highly it says right there, probability of dysfunction, 100% highly likely.
Yeah. So
what does that mean by dysfunction? Does that mean I'm diabetic?
No, but we are on our road to diabetes. Your A1C is elevated, your fasting glucose is elevated. I don't have a fasting insulin, but I'm going to assume that is probably not optimal. And so what's nice is you come down here, it also tells you, with your elevated total cholesterol and LDLs, the liver plays a part in our blood sugar regulation. So if our liver is overloaded from, high carbohydrates, high refined carbs, sugars, those kinds of things, that in turn plays a part in your blood sugar. And so if we have high toxic burden and our liver is bogged down from that, that's going to play an issue in our blood sugar. So really kind of taking a deep dive, taking it step by step. We like to kind of go back and look at like the root causes of issues, like the symptoms that people come in with, those are just like your warning lights going off.
Yeah.
Those warning lights started with a root cause, whether that be chronic infections, traumas, lots of antibiotics as a kid or growing up, all the processed foods we're eating, a microbiome imbalance. And so kind of looking at that, really healing the gut is a big thing that we push, making sure we have enough stomach acid to actually break down and absorb the food we eat, teaching people how to eat, which sounds crazy, but slowing down, chewing your food, limiting the liquid we drink with a meal, all makes a huge difference in like how much we actually absorb the nutrients we're taking in. So it's a ton of information when you come, and a lot of people can leave kind of overwhelmed. That's why they have email access to me afterwards, to ask questions that come up.
You would almost need some sort of support, like on it to understand all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But it's all valuable information.
Yeah. And this all goes home with you too. Like this, yours is only 27 pages, but usually the report's about 40 some pages, and that gets emailed to you to kind of look through, if in 6 months we repeat this program nicely lines it up side by side so we can see, okay, what improvements have we made? Where do we need to, focus next? Those kinds of things.
So let's say I lower my A1C. I do whatever you tell me to do. I change a few things. Am I going to feel that?
You might with energy, yeah.
Because that's like the number one reason why people continue to do something, right?
So,
is they understand that they feel there's a different feeling.
Right. And I think that number one thing is you have to be in tune with your body enough to know how you feel right now.
Yes.
And sometimes that's kind of taking, like we'll have them take like assessments because, I've had patients say, gosh, I don't feel any better. But gosh, if you look at your scores, you took this assessment and your overall score was 100 and now it's 56. Like you're 50% improved and you don't even feel it because we are so out of touch with our own bodies.
Like I feel pretty good most days, but I don't know that I couldn't feel better.
Yeah.
I don't know what the cap is.
Well,
right?
Metabolic dysfunction is cellular dysfunction, and cellular dysfunction inhibits us from producing energy. And, that is what gets us through our day. And so
I know I've been trying to lose the same 10 pounds for about 10 years and I can't.
I think you should do a glucose monitor because I think that would be super eye-opening that, maybe it is that handful of
Oh yeah, it is
chocolate chips. You know,
deliciousness every
maybe
night.
at night you have huge blood sugar dysregulations, and that could be part. You could be perfect during the day, you eat that snack right before bed, and now we have blood sugar dysregulations. It doesn't let you allow you to have quality REM sleep, which in turn hurts your adrenals, which causes you fatigue. It all plays together.
So I think that if I had to tell anybody, like, the number one theme of this whole sit down is that it all works
together.
All works together. You can't silo yourself into body parts.
No.
You have to understand that one thing changes the other thing.
Yep.
And that if you fix something, it may be at the cost of something else.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that in itself is where modern healthcare misses the mark. They'll just say you're tired, and then say, okay, well, let's look at your thyroid. Okay, but what about my fasting
thyroid panel?
Right. Okay, yeah, but what about my fasting glucose? Yeah, no, we're not interested in that. Let's just, right. What about my liver enzyme? Nope, we're not. You're tired. Your liver has nothing to do with you being tired, which we all know is wrong.
Wrong.
So if I had to put an exclamation on this whole thing, it's that everything works together to make you and to make you feel the way that you want to feel. You can't. It's not like your biceps, where if you want to grow bigger biceps, you just do curls. If you want more out of your day, it all works together.
Yeah. Yep. We have to have proper digestion. We have to have good detox pathways. We have to, optimize our hormones. All of it works together to produce, cells that function like they should.
And it's so hard to comprehend. It is when you give yourself to the conventional healthcare system.
Well, it's so different. It's and unfortunately, it's different.
And if you looked at my probability of dysfunction, so blood glucose regulation is number one. Look what is like way down the list: cardiovascular function. But that's the one thing they fixed.
Yep.
Was your LDLs, and that's all because my LDLs were elevated. They siloed me into that without ever looking at the whole system.
Yeah. Yep.
Man.
Well, and they have 7 minutes with you, maybe?
Sure, and it's not their fault. I'm not blaming them.
Yeah.
I'm blaming the
system is just
system
broken.
in itself is broken. And there's more people out there that are saying that RFK Jr., I think, political or not, he's on the train to try to bring some awareness to that. The brother and sister duo,
Casey and Callie Means.
Right. She used to be she's a Stanford educated physician, broke out of the cycle and said this whole system is effed. He was a lobbyist at DC for Big Pharma, realized that the whole system is effed, and now they're out there, basically trying to raise the flag, or sound the siren of we're a real broke system. And if everybody just did just a little bit to help themselves fix it by just saying no to the conventional information that we're all inundated with, that goes a long way.
Absolutely.
Right? Is there anything else? This conversation we talk about silo. We can't silo this into an hour.
I know.
This is a big deal.
There's so much that we offer here, to supplement things that we find in deficiencies, like inflammation markers, brain fog, migraines. There's so much outside of just the normal, here's your prescription. We have hyperbaric chamber, infrared sauna, cold plunge, lymphatic drainage massage, cryotherapy, ozone IV therapy, ozone therapy through inhalation, IV therapy. There's so much that we can do to help someone feel better on this journey. They just have to come see, and
these are treatments. These are not solutions. These are tools.
These are tools, absolutely,
to help you get to where you want to get.
Yep. And maybe get there a little bit faster. And, it's been amazing.
If you start, you don't have to stay on it forever.
No.
These are just things to help you get through whatever it is you're trying to get through.
Yeah.
But I think that's the most important thing is that there needs to be a summit. Everybody knows that if you're going to climb a mountain, that there is a top. and that you are going to reach it. I think where people get lost in the weeds with this stuff is they don't see that. And so right in the middle, before they get to where they want to get, they're like, you know what? I'm kind of out. I'm going to kind of stop doing this kind of thing because
then where do you go?
Right.
Like,
you get no, but back down to the bottom of the mountain where you started.
Right. So you just, and that's where you get like, support and things like that. Like maybe we need to change something up. And, because if you stop halfway, like what direction are you going? Like,
sure.
It's
just good enough. Like, I feel feel good enough. Well, I don't know that I feel good enough too, but I don't know that there isn't, I can feel better. I don't know that there is. But I'm willing to find out. Like, I want to know, is this as good as I get to feel, or can I do better? This whole red thing has made me ask some questions that maybe I'm just not as good as I think I am. And there's always room for improvement. And so you just need to keep asking questions. How do people find you?
They can go to our website, Vivid Wellness. We're in Clive. You're welcome to call and make an appointment. The number is 515-415-1550. They can email me, vivid.ashley@gmail.com. And I can answer questions. We do free discovery calls, which are like 15-minute calls with me or one of the nurses, and, to give you some more information on treatments, what we offer here.
This isn't just a spa, right? Like, no. I can see where people would be like, you work at a spa. Yeah. But this is real deal. This is
real. This is, we have I don't even want to say up and coming, because the treatment methods that we've have been used for years and years, they're just not mainstream, such as ozone IV therapy. And we're expanding to add more access to different treatments for, maybe people that are in wheelchairs or things like that. And that's coming down the line. So do a lot of hormone replacement therapy for men and women, a lot of thyroid, a lot of education. We have a functional nutritionist, so if you're struggling with that diet piece, she's fantastic.
You know what I really want to get into sometime with you is menopause.
Oh yeah.
Can we cure it?
Great topic.
Isn't it great? I think we can cure it. I think menopause can be cured.
Oh, I mean, hormone replacement therapy, I've seen it change lives.
Yes.
In a very small amount of time.
And here we are just saying, well, sorry about your hot flash, lady.
Nope. No.
It's just that time.
Estrogen is needed. It's an anti-inflammatory.
Let's make a commitment to do a show sometime about menopause.
Sure.
And that's the only thing we're going to talk about.
Okay.
Now, I clearly know zero about menopause, and nor am I going to experience it. Apparently there's a male version called andropause. Is that a thing?
Well, I would assume if your testosterone gets low enough.
But we're going to talk about menopause because I think it's a public service announcement to the women out there who don't have to just
do not have to suffer.
You do not have to suffer. Now, it is going to cost some money. Your healthcare provider is not going to offer this information up to you. You are going to have to self-invest and figure out if the trade-off is a hot flash or not a hot flash.
Right.
I would vote for zero if I had to go through them.
And then that's with anything. Like, you're going to invest in your health now or later.
Yes. Yes.
It's either now for prevention, or it's later when you are, filling your prescriptions and hospitalized how many times a year.
That is a great point. Why it's going to cost you money regardless,
right?
Whether it's copays or deductibles.
And we offer, we do a super bill with each appointment, which has insurance codes on it. You self-submit to your insurance. We can't guarantee they'll reimburse, but some of them do reimburse partial amounts for things.
Oh, but damn. Yeah. I don't even know that was a thing.
Like HSA and flex spending accounts. Yeah. We have the ability to do 0% interest credit card.
And I can tell you from somebody who's been in waiting rooms of doctors' offices, I would much rather spend my time here.
Oh, it's beautiful here.
Than spend my time going from doctor's appointment to doctor's appointment to doctor's appointment all in one day, because you see a pain specialist or you see a endocrinologist or you see a cardiologist all in the same day. That sounds.
Yeah. Come see me, have a session with Krista at Cryo Wellness for a massage, then go, get an IV, jump in the sauna and cold plunge, spend your day that way and invest in your health. Yeah.
And then go
that's
home
the way
and
I'd want to go.
and then go home and do the things that you're telling
Right.
people to do. Go for walks, eat reasonably good food, get 8 hours of sleep a night if you can. Not all of us can because
Yeah.
we're shift workers, but we can mitigate the damage that causes, I think, with just some basic stuff. So, all right, you feel good about this
Yep.
today? Like, I think there's a general curiosity out there about just information on how I can do better, how I can perform better at home, how I can live longer. And if I can't live longer, how can I live better?
Right.
This is probably the biggest thing. Maybe I can't increase my longevity, but I can increase the quality of life up until that point. So let's do it again.
Sounds good.
We'll see if this one is just as well received as the last one. I have no doubt. But it'll go out Monday.
Perfect.
Deal? All right, everybody. Work hard. Be kind.
Hey guys, thanks again for listening to another episode of the Shift Change Podcast. I need to ask if you would leave a rating. I think that it helps people who are new to the podcast find it quicker. It doesn't do me any good, but it does help other people that are looking for the Shift Change Podcast on Spotify or Apple. It just comes up quicker the more ratings that you give it. Whether you give it a 2 or a 5, it doesn't make a difference. It just helps other people. If you need to get a hold of me, contact me via my email, the show email, which is talkshiftchange@gmail.com. Or you can message me on Instagram at talk.shiftchange. At talk.shiftchange on Instagram. As always, thanks for listening. I could not have imagined how well this podcast has been received. So, as always, I appreciate it. Work hard, be kind.